You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 127 of Teach Better Talk. I'm Ray Heward, and as always, I am with my inimitable friend, Jeff Gargis.
You got it.
I got it.
That's a tough word to say.
3 takes to be able to say that word and not sound like a goof.
I wasn't going to even tell anybody that it took 3 takes.
You're such a lie. You're going to put it as a blooper at the end, and I'm going to cry when I hear it because I totally choked 2 times in a row.
I said I wasn't going to tell anyone. I didn't say I wouldn't put it as a blooper.
Exactly. Well, I really like this word, but using it to like flow into the sentence became really challenging. So
it's a tough word to say on its own, let alone in the mix of like words.
It's true. Let's just put it this way. If I didn't get it in this take, I was going to change it. So.
Well, I mean, figure we get it from a rapper / poet, Well,
that's the problem is that Toney has such a wonderful vocabulary that he put me up for a challenge and I bombed. But guess what, guys? Growth mindset right here. 3rd time's a charm.
Boom. Never give up.
Exactly.
She didn't give up even though I was just laughing like crazy on this other end.
Yeah, talk about me trying to pursue better, trying to overcome a hurdle. Jeff is in the mic literally laughing. I can hear him crying. It was that loud, laughing at me that I can't pronounce things well.
Yeah, I still have tears in my eye. But you know what, Ray? You pursued. Oh, wow, see, I can't talk either. Persevered through it, and you got it done. And that's awesome.
This is why Toney is my new co-host.
We did talk about that a lot. And he was pretty, he didn't say yes, but he said, I don't take invitations lightly. So I think I'm in trouble.
I think you are too. And our listeners know that if they had to pick between you and me, they pick me.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, obviously. So let's actually, I'd love to know if you don't mind, if you're listening, if you can tweet out using hashtag #TeachBetterTalk, let us know who would you pick. If Toney Jackson, our guest today, was going to take over as co-host, should he replace me or should he replace Ray? I'd really like to know. Actually, I probably don't want to know.
Yeah, I was going to say, why are you doing this to yourself?
We're going to find out now. It's going to be interesting to see. It'll make Toney blush a little bit. It'll be great. So before we get into that, I wanted to throw something at you, Ray. We're sitting here. We're just, we're a couple weeks into December here. We're inching closer and closer and closer to that winter break. And something that, we've talked about it before about getting into inching into summer break and spring break and stuff like that. Sort of this anxiousness to get done with it and be out and stuff. And I think there's a danger in there is that we forget that we still have some days left before we actually are on break. And I think it's important for teachers to know, don't check out just yet, right? Stay with us, stay with those kids, give them everything you got until the very last day before break. And I'm wondering if you can just sort of kind of give us some pump, some Ray inspiration to keep at it for the next whether you have a week or 2 left or, week and a half, whatever it might be. Can you give us a little Ray energy in that?
Absolutely. I always feel my Ray energy. No, but you're right, Jeff. I mean, anytime you hear from teachers as they're crawling towards winter break, it's this really hard struggle between teachers have families as well. So they're trying to get all of those things in order for the winter holidays. And they're also trying to get through content because with a 2-week break, most teachers really want to end their content at a good point for students to pick it back up in January. And there's just this constant struggle. They start talking about next year placements. It's a stressful time. And I know we don't like to admit it, but there's some burnout. Teachers kind of need a break around this time. And so I really think you hit the nail on the head when you were talking about that purposeful implementation because break's not here yet. And I know that it's so easy to check out. It's so easy to be let's throw in a movie or, whatever. It's, let's start a countdown to winter break. But think about what type of message does that send? I know that we're counting down maybe for a break, maybe to get some purposeful time with family. But really, let's also make sure that our students know that they're valued. Let's make sure that we're continuing to emphasize that their time is valuable, that what we have left is really important for them. Make sure it's relevant. And, if you need time to refuel, if you're really eager for a break, then take some purposeful time away from school, whether it be after school hours or maybe get up a little bit earlier and take some you time, because that self-care is important. You don't only get to have time to refuel yourself during breaks. You can do that very intentionally throughout the week. So find a moment, make sure you're refilling your own bucket, and then make sure you're pouring into others for as long as you can, because you never know the time that's left. And so to be able to show up well for students, no matter what, until that final winter break comes is really important. And then, well, obviously, don't forget about us during break, because while you're refueling, we'll be doing some cool stuff on our team, hopefully during winter break, to continue to support teachers in their pursuit of better, which is just kind of fun.
Yeah, I actually think, while you were saying that, I was thinking you could totally do a countdown till break, but flip it on your students and say, all right, this is how much time we have left, and we're counting down. How much learning can we get in between now and that break? And just kind of flip it there. So there's a way you can do a countdown that's actually got some purpose behind it. The other thing, though, is, and when you hear about this, but I love just like mention it again, is that, your students probably seem excited too, but for some of those students, they may not be nearly as excited to go on break, because you're that person that cares about them more than anyone else. They love coming to school and be there. So like making sure that we're there for them up till the very last minute, like, could mean the world to that kid or several other kids. So just keep that in mind and push through. And then, we're going to be doing some really cool stuff like in our Facebook group and stuff like that to help support you on your way through winter break as well. But hopefully you get some time to really recharge and get rejuvenated and ready to come back in it after break. So awesome. Loving it. So this episode, I think we'll do that for you as well. So Toney Jackson is a fourth grade teacher, 14 years teaching. He's a fourth grade teacher at Nellie K. Parker Elementary School, which is in Hackensack, New Jersey. Toney, what's really cool, he's also a poet. He's also an author and illustrator of children's books. He writes and records music. And he does some really cool stuff. He brings sort of that passion of his and the passion of the arts into his classroom. What really caught my eye originally with him was that he engages students utilizing hip hop and poetry. And I really love how he does that, and he utilizes that in a really cool way. And he talks a little bit about that. We have him go into it about how he kind of blends that into his lessons and his love for writing and stuff like that, and building those relationships with students. But I thought this was a really cool, really authentic episode with Toney. He dug into an old past story for his failure, which I really enjoyed, and then how he kind of brings that mindset into his teaching. So I'm super excited that we were able to connect with him, that we got him on here, and that I think you're going to get a ton out of this episode. Ray, anything we need to make sure we are listening specifically for?
No, I just think this guy's doing really great stuff, and don't just listen to this episode, but also make sure you go connect with him, because he's somebody definitely to watch.
Absolutely. So let's get into episode 127 with Toney Jackson.
Hey everyone, it's Ray. We're going to get right back to the episode, but we have to talk about Mastery Chat real quick. Hashtag Mastery Chat is our conversation every single week over on Twitter, happening Thursday nights at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. I never thought a Twitter chat could be more intense, but holy cow, do I love Mastery Chat nights. Really rich discussion, educators from across the world, and I always leave with a new idea that I'm ready to use in my classroom Friday morning. Don't forget to mark your calendars for Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern, and we will see you over on Twitter. Now let's get back to the episode.
All right, we're here. We are chatting with the one and only Toney Jackson, and Ray has already offered to replace me with Toney, so we know this is going to be a fun episode. Toney, was super excited to get you on. We originally had you booked later on, and then we were able to open up a little bit of free time and get you on earlier, so I'm excited to get you in. But before we get rolling here, man, how you feeling right now?
I feel really good. After this, I am set for my dishes for Thanksgiving. So I know I'm going to transition from a great conversation to some serious work. I feel good. I feel good.
Now, what do you do for Thanksgiving? Do you go somewhere? People come to your place, or what do you do?
We switch it up every now and then. This year, we're going by some close family friends. Family, but friends. So we're going to be bringing food and then taking hopefully even more back.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Jeff, you can't actually be surprised that I offered Toney my co-hosting spot instead of you, because, listen to him. He's a natural on a podcast. He's doing a ton of good stuff in education. He's got a natural podcasting voice. He's the full package.
That's true. I've got no rebuttal against it, honestly. So
I feel like I need to
Sorry,
stop
Jeff.
right now because I can't. Like that's there's no way I'm going to
you
live up
two,
to that. But we'll see where we go from
Ray,
here.
Ray, Ray, you two just tell me what to edit, and we'll be good. We'll be all right.
Well, Toney, I want our listeners to know all about you as well. So we are going to talk about you during our first question. And it always seems easy for me to say, but is typically pretty often the hardest one to answer. Will you tell us a little bit about all that you do? And I say all that you do because there is a lot.
Sure. It's funny because I feel like I could answer that and say I teach, and within those two words, it would be all of that you're talking about, right? So for any teacher to say I teach is to say I do a ton of jobs, most of which I probably don't get credit for. But that's what I do. I've been teaching for 14 years, and I love it. I teach fourth grade. We do a bunch of stuff in the classroom. But outside of that, I also do some poetry programming, whether it's performing or hosting open mics, putting on programs. I love to write. It's one of the things that I love to bring into my classroom with my kids. I love to write and illustrate. So I authored a couple of books, and I'm working on some right now. And then I try to stay tied into the community as much as I can. So I was on our cultural arts board, and I still continue to work anytime that I have an opportunity to as well.
That's awesome. And I know, Tony, you've always brought poetry and hip hop and rap into your classroom. Can you tell us? I thought that really cool. I love how you do that and how you connect with the students that way. Can you kind of tell us how that kind of comes together and how that works in your classroom?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess like a short answer, and I'm trying to keep it short, is that it's just a style of communication. Mostly, I will think about how my lectures sound if I'm in front of the classroom and I'm lecturing, and I try to think of the most engaging way that I can do that for my students. And often, it has to do with throwing it into a rhyme, putting some rhythm into it. So it's a really good way to communicate. And if we get into like actual hip hop, then we're talking about things that I can do with improvisation and ways to get them involved, and talking about different modes of learning that we tie in. So yeah, it's something that we bring in every day, whether it's listening to beats while we're working, rhyme and vocabulary words, finding the vocabulary words within lyrics. All kinds of different ways.
Really cool. So let's talk. So 14 years. That's a nice veteran career there. So lots of ups and downs, I'm sure, and I'm interested to see what story you pull for this. But can you share with us time that you've had a failure in your career? Kind of take us there with you. What happened? How did it make you feel? How did you overcome that? And what did you take away from that experience?
Yeah. So I mean, every day, uh, every day is about finding the failures and then fixing them. But trying to think of something that stands out is is it okay if it's before I started teaching? Is that cool?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
So before I started teaching in college, I didn't go to school for education. And when I was in college, a friend and I had a hip hop group. So we used to do performances and rap all around Rutgers. Um, and we got a gig. We started getting, big gigs for us at the time. So we were opening for some names, and my partner had said, he said, "Oh, we're gonna perform at this club," and it was a club in Trenton, and we were really excited about it. We're like, okay, we'll probably see, like a couple dozen people, packed in. And when we got there, I had told my sister about it. My sister was like, "Oh, you're gonna be at I think it was called the Cheetahs Club," and we were like, "Oh, yeah, that's gonna be interesting." And we were like conscious rappers. Like we had a lot of substantive content when we spit. So we said, yeah, well, they invited us, so I guess they want us there. Fast forward, we get there, and it's a small room. And then my partner's like, okay, wait a minute. We're all ready to rock, but they just offered us the main floor. And so we go out into the main floor where they're blasting like, top 40 hip hop, reggae. And we're like, that's the stage we're going to be on. There was like motorcycles on stage and everybody's dancing. And I'm like, this is a little different than what we generally do. So we got up there, and then the song Action was on. I remember this clear as day because everybody is like getting down and dancing. And then it was like record scratch, and it was like, okay, we got some local talent for you. And we were like, oh man. And then they let us go. And we rapped, and we probably got through about a song and a half, and then we just could see that it was not hitting. And so what did hit was ice in my face, and somebody was like throwing ice at me from like the front row, and I was like, okay, that was very cold. Like literally, that was cold. And they ended up like turning off the mics, and we got off stage. But as we were walking out, like, you know, a couple of people were like, yo, I felt what you were saying. That was cool. That was cool. And so that, although it was, I guess, strategically for us at that time a failure, it was definitely something that I learned from. I feel like a lot of lessons, like every crowd is not necessarily for me. I may not be for every crowd. I learned to appreciate any attention that people are willing to give me. And as a teacher, I really, really value that now. And there's a quote, failure is not fatal. So, you know, I knew that we could dust ourselves off and we could go back again. We'll rock another crowd. But that day, it was not to happen.
I love that you took that back to those days. That's cool. And that you bring that mindset into your teaching. That's really cool. So now let's flip it. Let's talk about a successful moment. This could be something big or something small, but kind of tell us what happened. Why was it a successful moment for you? And then what did you take away from that experience?
Sure. So there's a poet named Omar Holman. Omar Holman is a poet. He's a writer. He's a multiple Grand Slam champion. He's won competitions for his writing all over the place. He's been featured on TV. And he was present when I used to do touring with a group of poets, and we used to go to high schools. And he was at my high school when we went back one of the first times. And so we did our little thing. You know, we did some spoken word. And I remember him sharing a poem while he was there. And he ended up going to the same college that I went to. We would see him at open mics. And fast forward, he blew up and he became an amazing success with his writing. And I saw, you know, I've talked to him a few times since then, and I've seen some interviews that he's done, and he has credited me as being one of the inspirations for what he does. And so I think about that whenever I think of a success, because there's awards and there's plaques, or there's things that people give you. But to be able to have someone say, I'm showing you that you had an impact on my life in some way, and especially when someone is doing something that's phenomenal. Like he's one of my favorite poets, period. So that I consider to be, not that I'm responsible for him, you feel me? But the fact that he credits me somewhat for any of his success, I think is incredible.
Well, yeah, that's so cool. Jeez. So with everything that you're doing, and I feel like you've only just touched on, it seems like all the ways that you support students and, to be honest, other educators in the field, what fuels your fire? What keeps you excited about education?
So I would tie it back to the last question. I consider the success seeing that what I do in the classroom has an impact, right, beyond the classroom. And so that is something that no matter what happens, no matter what trends come, no matter what changes, what things pop up, what initiatives there are, no matter how that stuff changes, what keeps me and what drives me is knowing that I can have an impact on the future, that I can have an impact on the students that are here in some way, whether that's the relationship that we have, some of the knowledge that's transmitted, something that they discovered in themselves while they were in the classroom, whatever it is, that is like the core of what keeps me excited about teaching. And I would say without question, there's so many things I love about teaching, but that in itself, the opportunity to make a difference. I know that might sound like the most canned answer, the most cheesy answer, but that is without a doubt 100% the truth. It's being able to make a difference in somebody's life beyond just that classroom.
Yeah. Hey, I get that completely. I don't think it sounds wrong at all. I'm totally with you. But when we're talking about really making that impact, question 5 always has to do with advice. And I think the advice that you can share is probably 1,000 different things with our listeners. But if you had to target your advice to a teacher to really keep this idea of an educator who wants to do right by their students, wants to connect, and bring relevancy to their students? What type of advice do those teachers need to be successful?
What type of advice? Okay, so I would trying to think of. I feel like I would say explore the edu-world, right? Not necessarily just your school, not just necessarily your district, but the whole world of education. And I mean in terms of books that you're able to find that may interest you, podcasts, social media, because I feel like when I got into teaching and I took my alternate route classes, I feel like there were courses and then there were books, and that was pretty much how people would recommend that I learn more about education. But I feel like that world is so expansive now. So I would say get out there and find the things that you like. A podcast might not be for everybody, but I love them. I'm sure there are books that would draw people. The ability to connect with other teachers on whether it's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, whatever it is, it's kind of like get in where you fit in, but expose yourself to as much as you can, because that's when you can learn what's for you. And then within that, I would say when you see everything that's out there, especially for me, I notice a lot on Twitter, there's a lot of cynicism. And so something I was thinking about recently was ditch the cynicism. You can put that aside. But as far as yourself, accept the criticism. Like if someone has real relevant criticism that has some truth in it in terms of what you're doing or what you should be doing or what you're doing wrong, then take that, fix whatever it is, be better. And don't harp on the fact that, there might have been a cynical note. You put that aside, you take the truth, and then you be better.
I love that. I was really glad that you went there because I saw the video where you talked about that on your Twitter. So I'm glad that you brought that in. So that was really cool. And important. That's important because 14 years ago when you got going, you're right. Like you didn't have the ability to go see all this, everything that's out there, right, and all the different resources. Now we're in a time now where like there are no. I talk about a lot with social media how 10, 14 years ago, right, you had the ability to go down the hallway or maybe to another building in your district. Like that was your network. That's where you could go and reach out to.
That's right.
Now there are no geographical boundaries. You can, we see teachers all the time on social media connecting with the teachers from other countries, from all around the world.
Yeah.
And being able to find those people that speak to you differently, find those people that challenge you, that build you up, and to find those new ideas that you just couldn't do.
How amazing is that? How amazing is that? I mean, I feel crazy. Like particularly with education, I just think that's remarkable. And, in terms of thinking about like the tech that's involved, I think it's fantastic that we're at this time. I think it's got to be one of the most exciting times for all of the stresses, all of the things that are coming down on teachers and all the things that we're fighting against. I just feel like that makes it one of the most exciting times to be a teacher when everything is accessible to us. I think that's amazing.
Absolutely, man. I love it. So let's have some fun here. We're going to do the next 6 questions, and your job is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. You ready to go?
Bro, I am long-winded, but listen, I will try. Let's go.
No, you're going to rock this, Tony. Come on, you got to keep that confidence up.
All right. Oh, I like that. Okay. Thank you for that boost. You must be a teacher.
No, I tried.
She is.
Oh, good.
All right. Well, what is one ed tech tool you cannot live without?
Currently in our class, my kids are really big and doing great things with Flipgrid. It's an incredible way that they've been using to create content, to share with each other, and to reflect every day.
Give us a book that you're reading right now.
I just bought The Art of Pixar because I'm working on my illustrations for my current books. So that's one that I just jumped into. Also, Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Adeyemi. It's dope.
All right. Give us who do we need to follow on Twitter or Instagram today?
I'm gonna give you a hashtag. You got to follow EduColor. You got to follow hashtag Clear the Lists. And then when you explore those, you'll find a ton of amazing educators that are talking about issues that need to be dealt with right now.
All right. Give us a good YouTube channel or website for educators.
I'm a big Jennifer Gonzalez fan, so definitely Cult of Pedagogy. And the Microsoft educator community, education.microsoft.com, that was one of the first sites that I got onto that really woke me up and showed me some of the possibilities of what's happening in tech and education. So I would definitely recommend both of those.
All right, give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Every day, I do written or recorded reflections. So thinking about whether it's the good or the bad in my day. Something I usually do it early in the morning, but I find that as much as I have my phone and use my computer, there's something different about writing it down physically for me.
Very cool. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
That's an easy one. That's from my dad. My dad would tell me and my sister that people live life at 3 levels: survival, success, and significance. And he was always teaching us about the importance of striving for and reaching that level of significance. So it would be that. And especially because as teachers, we go through those 3 levels every single day.
Boom.
Wow. Ray, yeah, no kidding. I think you got it.
Absolutely. I'm packaging up the trophy right now.
Let's go.
Done.
Nice. Loving it.
Well, Toney, I really want to make sure that this is just only the beginning, because I think you're doing incredible things and I want our listeners to continue to grow and learn alongside you. So would you mind kind of sharing how people can get connected and continue to check out your books and your videos and everything else that you're doing?
Sure. I mean, you can find me at He Rhymes With Me on Twitter and Instagram. I do have a website. It's just ToneyJackson.com. Toney with an EY, TONEY Jackson.com. I don't update that as much as I should, but it has a lot of stuff up there that I probably forgot is up there. So check it out. Those are the best ways to reach out to me. When books and stuff drop, I'll hit y'all up and I'll say, I'm gonna, throw this out on Twitter. But I'm working on it now. I'm grinding. I have a 100-day project and I have 90 days left to finish 2 books. So I'm excited.
Wow. Make sure you keep us updated on that as well.
Well, you and I are going to be podcasting, so you'll know, and then we'll relay that to Jeff. Yeah,
I'm getting replaced anyway, so it's all good. And you can find all the links and all the resources and everything we talked about in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as those links to connect with Toney so you can keep the conversation going with him. So head over to teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, we'd really appreciate that as well. And let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and share this podcast with them. Toney, man, so glad that we got you on. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and just having some fun with us today. And really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
It was a blast. Keep up the incredible work.
Until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 127 of Teach Better Talk. I'm Ray Hewart, and as always, I'm with I'm not going to be able to say the word. Shit, I was ready. I was totally ready. I just want everyone to know I was ready. All right. Stop laughing. I hate you. You know what? Just make that the episode. Just make it that I messed up, whatever.